It is time for another Writerly Walk and Talk. The only problem is that you can probably hear the sea behind me is coming in, it's high tide, and as we're in lockdown in all of New South Wales, I have to stay 5 kilometres from home, which means that the areas that I can explore are limited, and they've closed Woodaree National Park, which is a good thing because it means that they're actually making moves to protect the Indigenous population that live in Wreck Bay within the national park. So to be honest, it's a bit of a relief. As I've said in previous videos, part of my marketing strategy and part of getting satisfaction as a self-published author for me has included getting character art, and one of my favorites was the watercolor of Talia by a lovely lady named Kiara. And recently I've asked Kiara to do a matching one of William because they're both werewolves and they're betrothed to each other in the Phoenix series, and it just seemed to me like a beautiful pairing to get that artwork done. And I'm sure I'll get a lot more artwork as time goes on, but not having a job at the moment because I can't go to Sydney and see patients, and not being able to do mobile physio down here because we're in lockdown, it kind of is a little bit scary how much money you spend as a self-published author in a really short space of time. I know I don't have to get artwork done, but it's something that I've really enjoyed doing. But even just like editing costs, which I feel are really, really essential, add up really quickly. One of the issues I have been having lately, and I think this is a side effect of getting character arc done, is I'm kind of wrestling with character descriptions. There are certain characteristics obviously that I want to be quite clear to differentiate each character, but also so that people who read it can see themselves within some of the characters. The trouble is you don't want to overkill it, and you want to allow room for the reader to kind of create what they want within a world that you've created. Because once you let go of it, once you publish it, that story is no longer mine. So it is something that I've been wrestling with lately, especially as we're starting to introduce more characters into the Phoenix series. But I really do think that that is a byproduct of getting character art done and sort of giving instructions on tiny details that I want to see in the art, some of which happens and some of which doesn't always happen, but that's the way it goes. It's kind of one of those things also where, because I see the story in my mind as a movie and I am basically just then putting that movie onto page, you kind of want to control it and you want the characters to really represent what you see in your mind. Also, so that if anything were to ever happen and these books were to be successful, you want any character representations in the future to be accurate, and you don't want to end up with like whitewashed movies and things like that. And then I sit there and think, you are like 40,000 steps ahead of yourself, woman. You need to just get some people to enjoy the books first and write them and get them out there and worry about everything else like that later. But I think any of you out there who are writers know that it is very hard not to get ahead of yourself and to stay in the moment and focus just on the task that you need to do, which is finish writing. Recently, I have been procrastinating something fierce. I'm always terrible anyway, but I had a feeling that New South Wales was going to go into lockdown about a week before it happened, and so I've been doing tons of grocery shopping and garden shopping and making sure that I had everything that I need to go ahead and be in lockdown. I also know that at some point soon I have to go to Sydney for doctor's appointments, which then means when I come back to Jervis Bay, I'm going to have to hard quarantine for 2 weeks and, you know, stay away from the shops in an ideal world and stay away from my best friend and things like that. So I want to make sure that I'm set up and ready to go, which is basically just a fancy excuse to stay away from the things that I should be doing and to procrastinate for many, many days in a row. I was just filming, and because I've got my back to what's left of the coastline as the tide comes in, I didn't realize there was someone coming up behind me until this big shadow moved across. Scared the shit out of me. Recently I got my manuscript back from the editor for book 3 of the Phoenix series, and this is round 1 of professional edits, and it's kind of one of those things where you always think that you've really like torn it to shreds and edited it as much as you can, and then it comes back with like red pen all over it. And I mean, I'm really lucky. I think last time I did the calculations, I think my editing fees were less than 2 US cents per word. But when your manuscript is 130,000 words, it really adds up. It is one of those costs that is really worthwhile, and you always think you're done with the story. And then if you have a good editor, they come back with like questions that I feel an ARC reader wouldn't come back with. But that being said, I don't know. I don't have a lot of experience with ARC readers. I find one of the challenges of self-publishing in Australia is the difficulty of finding ARC readers and not having to pay for them. So my editor actually came back with a lot of questions and just suggestions that I needed to thicken certain areas or alter it or just change certain things. And I haven't actually done anything with that manuscript yet, even though it's been about 2 weeks, because a lot of ideas have just been kind of floating around inside my head, but I'm hoping to get to that really soon. And one of the things I would like to do to try and make myself be more disciplined is to actually try and force myself to do the edits within a week. So the editing process, as always, is just kind of blowing my mind, and I think it makes the books so much stronger, and it just makes your mind come up with really creative solutions to problems that you perhaps haven't seen because you're not coming into it from an unbiased perspective. You know what's going to happen, you know where the story's going, hopefully. And I just think that that process of having an editor is so vital, and it's not a cost that I would forego. So my focus for the next little while is going to be finishing editing, getting that done, and then knuckling down and getting the 4th book written. I probably have about a third of it done, probably less. Kind of don't know because it depends how many words I end up with, but hopefully I'll find out soon. I am trying to create more content and a more regular video release schedule on this channel. If you've enjoyed this video, I hope that you will like it and subscribe to this channel. It helps me know what kind of videos you guys like to see so I can make more of them, and it also helps my channel grow, which helps me generate some sort of income from this. So I would really appreciate it if you did like this video and subscribe to my channel, and you can also check me out on Instagram and Twitter at PipCoombs. I am going to head off before the tide is all the way in and I can't get back to the car without going for a swim. Now I'm super paranoid that there's someone coming up behind me again.